Okay, and we're going live. So I just want to say hello to everybody. My name is Shakira Ali, and I'm based in Austin, Texas. And I do these interviews at least once a month. I with someone that I meet on the internet that catches my eye. And this month is Shazia Imam, who's called the Life Engineer. I have been following her for quite a while, actually. I know she's based in Dallas, Texas. She's a transformational coach, and I've attended some of her courses on Zoom, and I am subscribed to her newsletters that come out every week or so, and I'm just so inspired by her energy and just like her vibrations, and just I just love, like, anytime you produce any content, I'm just immediately mesmerized. I just feel like what you're doing is literally magic. Like, and it works because I know you have that element of like spirituality, and we share the same faith, and I just feel like, you know, I caught you at a great time in my life. So
Mhm.
I'm really glad to kind of ask you some more questions about, your story, like how you got here. Because I've looked at your website, obsessed with all the photography. Like, you are living the dream. Like, you're just like the walking example of like it can happen for me too, you know? And so I kind of want to know how you got here. But before we get there, I just kind of want to know, like, where were you born and raised, and how long have you been in Dallas, and what brought you to Texas?
Okay, so thank you, first of all, Shakira. That's so kind and thoughtful of you. And I just want to say that's such a generous intro that you did of me. I still like a regular person, and I still like, even this morning was crying. I just want to be so transparent, right? Like, I still have crying days too. And what I'm here to really show is that we're still going to be deeply feeling, we're still going to be humans, and you can still have the things that you desire too, but it's not like you suddenly become a different person. And I want to just say that because I think that there's this idea that like everything changes, and it's not about everything changing. It's about you becoming so you that you start magnetizing. But we'll talk more about that
Right,
in
right.
a bit. But I always like to be really transparent from the get go because I don't want to paint a picture of like perfection that then seems unattainable. I want to paint a picture of like what is really actually possible in your authenticity. So where I grew up, where I was born and raised, was the US, but I grew up in DC actually.
Wow.
So I grew up in Northern Virginia, right in the suburbs of DC, and that is where I call home. And even though I've been in Dallas now for 8 years, I came here because I got married. And so that is the only thing that would have ever brought me to Texas, FYI. Oh my gosh. That is how I ended up here. But I still feel that I'm from DC through and through.
Ooh, so you're an East Coast girl.
I am.
Oh, wow. I mean, it is just so beautiful over there. The
Mm,
seasons, the fall and the winter. You get all four seasons. So you said
yes.
Northern Virginia?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I've never been to Virginia. That's definitely on my list.
It's gorgeous, like gorgeous. It's so, so, so pretty. Like whether you're in Northern Virginia, which is like right outside of DC, or any part of Virginia. I went to school in the south of Virginia, and I mean, all of it. You get the mountains and you get the trees, and it's so lush. And like you said, the four seasons, it's beautiful.
Oh, wow. So Dallas is not that cute, though. It's a more, they call it the concrete jungle.
It is because
Yeah.
they tore everything down to make yet another strip mall.
Oh my God. Yep, that sounds like Dallas to me?
Yeah, because Austin is so much more beautiful, you
It is
know?
a lot more green, a lot
Yeah.
more hikes, a lot more trails. Very beautiful, a lot of scenic drives. I definitely don't take it for granted.
Yeah. I mean, that's like if we want to get away, we come down to Austin and like just see some nature, like just a little bit, because we don't get anywhere.
Yeah. So, like, how long have you been a transformational coach? Like, how long have you been doing this? And what pulled you this direction?
Yeah, so I've been coaching now for 10 years.
Oh,
Um,
mashallah.
I'm an ICF certified coach, so I'm a PCC for anybody who likes, designations. And I've been coaching for 10 years. I literally started my training in January of 2014. And
Oh,
so what brought me into coaching was really life. I think for most people who end up in this industry of coaching, there's something that happened in your own life that brought you. And for me, what happened in my life is, the reason I even started the conversation like so raw and so clear is because I used to be the person that thought I had to achieve something to get somewhere. And so I had spent my life doing all the right things, checking off all the right boxes, right? I grew up in a South Asian Desi family where the expectation is you're going to be a doctor or you're going to be a doctor. And I didn't even have the other options. My dad was disappointed that I became an engineer, right? Like that was the level at which the expectations were. And so I was checking off all those boxes. I went to a great school. I got an engineering degree. I got a great job. I got married. I married a nice Pakistani man. And then I was supposed to get settled down and live the white picket fence dream, which is what I wanted. And I thought that if I lived this life and I checked off all the boxes, that I would find this pinnacle of success in my life and that I would be the normal Desi girl who was fitting into the community and who had made it, right?
Hmm.
And that was important to me because I grew up in a family that didn't fit the very typical what you would see in the community. I thought everybody else had this like perfect family and it was just me that had this like dysfunctional family situation. And what I've realized now as an adult is everybody did, but nobody was talking about it. But it landed so deeply with me that I thought I had to do all these things to reach a certain place in my life, that then I would live the normal life and I would be successful and I would be happy and everything would be okay. But what actually happened in my life is that I hit like a quarter life crisis where I thought, why don't I still feel fulfilled? Like, what is it? Why I kept feeling like there was something missing. And then my life like really unraveled. I lost my son.
So
He
sorry.
only survived for a very short amount of time after birth, and my marriage unraveled after that. And so, all of these things that I had worked so hard to attain, they were all starting to unravel in my life. And I felt like such a failure because I had put all this emphasis, right? And we have that pressure too from anybody who comes from a community that puts a lot of pressure on these external things. I had felt so much pressure to like have those things that as things were unraveling to the point where literally I was living out of my car for a period of time, to have everything unravel in this way, it was just such a wake up call of feeling like I feel like such an utter failure that I would rather not be in this world, that it would be better for me to not be here because my life didn't turn out a certain way. That's how much value I had placed on something outside of myself. And when I hit that rock bottom, the only way up when you hit the lowest of the lows is up. It's true. And so I had to really look in the mirror and say, who am I? Who am I without all of these things? Because that I didn't know what that was. Nobody ever really talked about that. And so that became my journey into discovering myself. Who am I? What do I enjoy? What do I want in my life? And actually coming back to who I am. It wasn't like I changed as a person. It's just that I came back to who I was. And that's the journey that set me onto coaching. And so as I was developing myself in that time, people were saying, you should be a coach. They've been saying it to me for years. I thought being a coach was super weird, right? I'm an engineer by trade and I was working at these prestigious companies and doing my thing. And so I kept pushing it away until I thought, well, what do I have to lose, right? And that
Hmm.
was part of my journey as well. And then as soon as I entered into coaches training, it was like, where has this been all my life? I just fell in love and it was amazing. And the facilitators, all the instructors would be like, you're meant to do this. You're so good at this. And I just never stopped since.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. Like, that is quite the journey, you know? Like, I mean, that was definitely a very dark place to be, at the time you were there. And now, you're on the brighter side, and you're pulling so many women and encouraging them to, like, kind of uplift themselves and move forward, and just kind of help them, reframe, their thoughts, their lives, and just kind of reach their goals, because I know
Mhm.
that whenever I've attended any of your courses through Zoom, you're always telling us to, like, dream big and just
Yes.
write it down, as crazy and as impossible as that sounds. Because,
Yes.
like, I think one of the first things that I saw on your website was, like, dream big and print out that sheet where you write down all your dreams.
Yes.
And so I did print that out, and as I was writing it, I was feeling so awkward because I'm like, okay, this sounds crazy, but I'm still gonna do it. I'm still gonna write it so it's on paper. And everything was just so pretty and just so cute, and it's just a girly fun website, but also, like, serious too. I loved all the purple. And is that your favorite color, by the way?
I do love it. I mean, purple looks great on everyone, but yes, my brand is definitely lots of purples and pinks in an
Yes,
elevated way. But yes,
yes,
I mean,
yes,
this is my office, so it's like this blush pink. I mean, I'm into it. Yeah.
yes. And then there was a picture of you in a closet. Is that your closet?
No, that's not my
I
closet.
was like, oh my god, this is just looks so amazing. But, like, I really have to hand it to you. You did a great job, and, like, I really just love the message, and, like, just the way you're. Not only are you, like, super approachable, but you are so transparent. Like, you're just so vulnerable. Like, I feel like you will repeat your story, like, every and any chance. Like, you never, like, go, oh, I've shared this already. I've already written this down on my website. But you're, like, always, ready to share it as if you've never shared it before.
Yeah, it's really important to me because the lens too of the way that I live my life now, and when I talk about dreaming big, is to actually dream big about the things that you want. So, the story is important because one, it is my story, but it also shows the pathway of making that shift into what are the expectations of me? Like, what am I working towards because I think that's what I'm supposed to be doing? Versus, like, what is the thing that actually lights me up? What is the thing that fulfills me? Because at the end of the day, what I've learned in coaching women is that, of course, we want all the nice things. We want that great spouse, we want that passionate love. We want that success in our career and having that money and having the things. Yes, we want those things, and success can look very different for everyone. But when I get to the core of what success actually means to women, like when I really start digging deeper and why is that thing important to you, there are very similar themes. It's typically women are looking to feel free in their lives
Mhm.
or they're looking for peace. Like these are the two things, or like fulfillment, right?
Mhm.
Some iteration of fulfillment, whether that's happiness or feeling content. Like these are the core themes that I've seen that women are looking for. And so when you start to dream big in a way that allows you to know that that is possible for you, you can have the external things, but also feel really satisfied when you put your head on the pillow at night. That is the real magic that I believe that women are looking for. And that's not going to come just from like being like, well, you just have to be picture perfect. That's not where it comes from. It comes from living your life so authentically as yourself that you do begin to magnetize. And I said, I would share about that. So, to the dreams list that you're talking about, I just want to take you back to that moment because I want to talk about what it starts, how it starts to affect change, if that's okay. If I can share
Yes,
that.
absolutely. Yes.
So when I was in that place and I shared with you, I was in that really dark place. And I remember I was walking on this path one day. It was right behind my house, and I'm walking on this path and I just like stopped and I'm like, how did I get here? Like literally, I thought to myself, like, how did I get here? I was living this life where my marriage was literally falling apart. I was going through a divorce and my parents didn't even know, okay, let alone friends and community members. Like nobody knew. And I was living like literally a farce of a life because my life was literally falling apart, but I was still showing up like really beautiful, dressed up, looking good, happy, like happy go lucky, that nobody knew. And I just thought, like, how did I end up here? This is not where I want to be. And so I had been reading a book that had talked about dreaming big. So I went home and I created this Google spreadsheet. And I literally started writing down dreams, like big and small, like really big, like having a husband who loved and respected me. Like at that time, I couldn't even imagine, my marriage was ending. So I couldn't fathom a man loving and respecting me. I put on there that it's my turn. I didn't even know what that meant, but I was like, when will it be my turn? I've been trying to do everything right for so long. When is it going to be my turn? Right? Like to
Right.
have the things. And why is my life falling apart? And how did I get here? And so I started writing down these things. And then I put some really small stuff like, I just want to have Trader Joe's Dunkers, the chocolate chip Dunkers that you put in
Yeah.
chai. It's so good. So I started writing down these things. And then what I did is that at first it was hard for me to dream, but I had to start somewhere. And so I think I might have had like 10 dreams that I had put on that list. And what I started doing is I actually started addressing what I could. So obviously, you can go to Trader Joe's and buy some Dunkers, right?
Yeah.
But the big thing that I really addressed at the time was that I wanted to learn how to freestyle swim.
Mhm.
Okay. And so, where you swim and you breathe in the water and you can turn your head and breathe out your nose. I wanted to learn how to do that. So I actually went to the YMCA. I got membership. I started taking swim lessons with an instructor. And I just like went out there and I did the thing, right? It was totally out of the box. It was not my regular thing, but it helped me to move out of this framework of just feeling like my life is crappy, you know? And I was actually doing something and I was working towards something. And this is what I just started doing with my dreams list is I started doing things that I could do. And as I started doing things, what happens is when you start moving towards things that actually are something you're interested in, that actually light you up, even if it's something challenging, that was challenging for me, but I would feel really accomplished, right? I was learning bit by bit. And then I started swimming laps on my own. And then I would feel so good after that. That energy, being in that energy starts to shift the energy around you. And what happens is when you start stepping into that, you start stepping into that energy, and that energy grows and grows and grows. A lot of things happen energetically. And so my life started just changing. It started expanding. Things started coming into my life, and I couldn't quite explain it. And part of what opened up in my life is that the marriage did end. That marriage did end. But then when that door closed, because I had really been working on myself and expanding my energy, expanding my um going towards the dreams that mattered to me. Well, then, I have that happy ending where I met a new guy who's amazing and he's actually the right partner in my life,
Oh my God, mashallah.
and we're talking at this point, and we just celebrated our 9-year anniversary.
Oh,
Alhamdulillah.
alhamdulillah. That is so cute.
Yeah. So, like life is so different today than it was like, oh my gosh, 2008 through 2014 were really difficult years in my life. Really
Wow.
difficult. But since then, so much has opened up. And so I work from this paradigm of what is true to me and working from that place rather than what do I think is the thing that will make me feel a certain way, if that makes sense.
Wow. Like, so of all the decades, would you say the 20s were worse than the 30s, or were the 30s worse than the 20s?
I mean, for me, like it kind of all like 2008, I was 28. Yeah. So yeah, I probably, yeah, late 20s to early 30s were really challenging for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Wow. So,
Yeah.
like, around what was it, the mid 30s where things were starting to look up a little bit? Like,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
for
So, like,
sure. For
you would
sure.
you would always like tell people that it always gets better.
It can, but it doesn't
Yeah.
always get better. I want to be honest, it doesn't always get better.
Oh,
Like what I'm talking about today is really important. And if somebody like really listens to what I'm saying and you really focus on yourself, you focus on being the best version of you, you focus on doing the things that light you up, that are like out of your comfort zone, and you really not just dream big, but like you be big, you
Yeah.
do big, things can definitely look so much better. But what actually happens, and I think this is where people can get in an even worse spot, is that they don't do that.
Right.
They instead are like, why isn't it happening for me? And there's nothing wrong with feeling sad about why things aren't happening. And I'm not saying not to feel sad,
Right.
but if you don't do anything to shift where you're at, then things can't shift. They
Right.
just they really can't shift. And so shifting doesn't mean like, what I mean by shifting is allowing yourself to invest in yourself in a way that will move you forward. Because if you don't do that, I see people actually going backwards and getting deeper and deeper and deeper into things if they don't actually use things as a wake up call to say, hey, yeah, something gets to change.
Wow. Like that's really, I'm really glad you mentioned that because the shifting, like, what would be an example? Like, what would be a realistic example of making a small shift? Like, for someone who's maybe in a rut right now, and you're kind of in this place where you're just like, what's next? Like, what do I
Mhm.
want? And like, as much as you want to attract those things and be in the the right circles, be in the right area, mingle with the right people, just surround yourself with, I'm not saying distractions, but
Mhm.
just like just that upliftment, like just that kind of that, like that pull that you have towards people. Like I'm definitely like a really social butterfly. Like I'm
Mhm.
always around people, I'm always mingling, I'm always hanging out. But there are times where I'm like, okay, I need to learn to like hang out with myself, Like I recently went on a hike by myself here in Austin.
That's
And I
awesome.
know, but I was like, I really missed having a friend. I was just so I was like, okay, you know what? I don't know if I can do this alone. I would rather just have someone with me. I just don't know what it's like to just like I get so much from giving. If I'm not giving or doing something for someone, like I want to do it for me, but when I do it for me, I just feel like I just want to share this moment.
Mm.
So it's just very hard for me. Like I was telling someone, like the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take myself to a movie, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit there, I'm gonna enjoy the movie, but there's just it's gonna be hard because I'll be like, I wish someone was here with me. So I don't know. I mean, there's just these two poles where you're like, okay, there's people time and there's me time. And I struggle with me time. Like I'm
Mm.
not saying I don't like myself, I don't enjoy my own company, but it's definitely uncomfortable
Mm.
to do certain things alone.
Mhm. What's uncomfortable about it?
I'm not saying it's my thoughts. It's not
Mhm.
me and my thoughts. It's just the quietness. They're like, okay,
Mm.
now what? Like what are we doing? Like I'm just so used to having a conversation, with the person that I'm walking with. But now you're just like, okay, are we listening to music? Are we calling a friend? Like, what are we doing?
Mm. Yeah, and that can be really uncomfortable, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm also the same way. Like it is uncomfortable, especially if you're more extroverted, right? Introverts are probably watching us being like, "Oh my gosh, I love being having that downtime." Um, but yeah, even introverts, there's this space sometimes that we don't want to be in quiet with ourselves, right?
Mhm.
So one of the things, though, that's really beautiful is that when we do allow ourselves to just get quiet with ourselves and be with our feelings, is when we can actually hear the thoughts, the real thoughts. We can actually feel the creativity that wants to come through. We can get the messages that are trying to come through, but we're just so distracted all the time. So To your point, I love that you're pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone to do things by yourself because you're like, okay, let me do this. And at a minimum, you've done something new, you've done something different. And what that is going to do is, first of all, it's going to allow the capacity of what you're able to do to grow. So let's just talk about the science of it for a moment. So, the limbic system in our brains, which is the brainstem back here, that was created for survival. So, this is a part of our brain that believes that if we are not doing something that's familiar, it believes that you will die if you do the thing. Okay. So, for you, if going to the movies by yourself is something you've never done, your brain is going to be like, oh my gosh, like, don't do it. And it might seem simple enough. And you're like, no, I can do it. But your brain actually is trying to tell you not to do the thing because it thinks you will die. But what happens is when you do that thing anyways, right? You take that risk and you do something on your own and you don't die, like God willing, you don't die in the movie theater and you come out, then your brain says, oh, we didn't die. That's okay to do. So check mark. That's one more thing that your brain is saying, I'm capable of doing, right? And that starts to expand your capacity of what you're able to do. So when you go back to the dreams list, and I hope everybody takes a chance to get it. You can get it at thelifeengineer.com/dreams. And, I hope you put it in the caption too,
I will,
Shakira.
yes. Hmm.
When you're going through the dreams list, what's great about this is it gives you a chance to start writing down things that are outside of like your normal day-to-day things that is going to start expanding that capacity. So that's a great one. I think a lot of women sometimes they don't want to do things by themselves. I want to take a class, but I need to find a friend to take it with. Well, why do you have to find a friend to take it with? Just go, right? Push yourself. Push yourself to do something outside of your comfort zone because you never know who you're going to meet. You never know like what new skill you're going to learn. There's so much out there that when you start allowing that expansiveness of the things that you're capable of doing, that again is when you start expanding that energy sphere, right? So those are just some examples of, like you gave, go to the movies on your own, do something on your own. I'll just add, do a class, because I hear women talking about this all the time. So that's a really good one. Like, stop waiting for somebody else to allow you to live your life, whether it's a friend to join you for the thing, or so many women are waiting for, well, when I get married, right? When the spouse comes in, then I will do the thing. Stop waiting. You get to live your life today, whatever that means. And it can be something as simple as going to the movies by yourself. And you know what? You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to know like what you should or shouldn't be doing. Something came to your mind to go to the movies by yourself, so do it.
Right,
You're
right,
committing a few hours of your entire life to do it, but you have no idea what could open up from there.
right. It's definitely been a struggle because I just see myself, filling up my calendar with the people. Like, oh, I'm doing this at this time with this person, and then doing X, Y, and Z with these other people. And, I keep my calendar full, busy, booked,
Mhm.
and I wouldn't say it's like I'm distracting myself. Sometimes it feels like it though, because am I trying to avoid the negative feelings? The
Mm,
sadness, the loneliness is like, do I always need like a being in front of me to distract me from myself or whatever? So I'm like, as much as I am proud of myself for taking this hike on my own, I was still like, it was just it was just so quiet, and like
mhm.
I was just by myself, and I just feel like I'm a little bit more perkier and more like elevated when I'm in like the right presence, you know?
Sure, sure, and that's very fair. You don't ever have to be the person who loves to hike on their own, but you did
Yeah.
it, right? And you get to
Yeah.
celebrate that. And I there's nothing wrong with what you're sharing either, right? Like wanting to spend time with people and do things because that lights you up. That
Yes.
is lighting you up, right? And if there are question marks coming up of like, well, it could this be, something I'm, maybe filling up my time with, like all these conversations are just honest conversations with yourself, right?
Right.
The more honest you are with yourself, the better. The better. And when you first asked the question, I want to say this, when you were asking the question of like, what's something really simple, like that somebody can do? And I actually want to say this. I actually want to say that you don't have to go at it alone, meaning you don't have to go through this journey alone. So, as those questions are coming up, what should I be thinking? What should I be doing? Should I be doing this? Am I doing this too much? Should I do this? Like when we're alone in our own thoughts, it's hard to sift through everything in a way that will move us forward. And I hear women all the time saying, well, why can't I figure it out by myself? Well, we're not meant to figure it out by ourselves. We are social creatures. We are meant to have good advice, good mentorship, good guidance, right? That is part of actually how we are as humans. And so to me, sometimes the simplest thing you can do is actually be like, hey, I want support on this, and I don't have to do this alone. This is probably the number one reason why I see like women who just don't do coaching or take a long time maybe to start therapy or do the thing that would actually get them the support that they need, because there's this feeling of I have to do it by myself, and if I don't do it by myself, if I don't figure this out by myself, then there's something wrong with me. But when you pay attention to the most successful people in any kind of success, okay, the most successful people always say that they had support, that they didn't do it alone. So I want to say that because this is the thing that holds people back the most, is feeling like you have to do it by yourself, but you don't. If you're like over there thinking, what should I be doing or not doing or this or that? Yeah, just get support. Get somebody else who can just be a neutral person. And I would say a coach or a therapist or a mentor. It's fantastic. It's really helpful. I wouldn't be where I'm at if I didn't figure this all out by myself, right? I was reading books. I was, I had coaches. I had a therapist forever. I had a really good support system that helped me to navigate a lot of these things too.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, that's very comforting, especially for someone like me. I'm definitely a very dependent individual, you know,
Dependent or independent?
dependent.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I would say I'm not independent. I don't do things alone. I'm always doing something with someone,
Mm-hmm.
And there is a part of me that's like, okay, are we avoiding something here? Are we avoiding ourselves?
Mm.
Like am I not content with my own company?
Mm.
And I'm just like, is there a reason why I'm always in a group and like getting people together,
Mm.
And it just, having these kind of solitary moments just made me realize, you know what, like you get a lot from giving, you actually enjoy this. So like there's a part of me that's like, okay, I'm going to stop initiating, I'm going to start making plans. And the more I say that, it kind of makes me a little sad.
Yeah, so why then don't stop.
Right, right. I'm like, there's. It just hit me. I was like, you know what? You like being around people. You like to get to know them and their stories, and you're genuinely curious. And like I like uplifting people. It helps uplift me. Like I just like being in the right kind of area and space and making new connections, building new connections, and like focusing on that community aspect, like you said, like
Yeah,
that support aspect, like we all kind of need one another. We're wired for connection.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was telling my sister this, like, she sees like how I'm always going here, going there, and like doing all these activities. She's like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. It just overwhelms her. She'll be like, I don't
Mm.
know how you're going to this many places, and I'm like, well, I don't have kids, I don't have a partner,
Mm.
I don't have, I'm a free bird, I'm a free spirit,
Yeah.
I have all the time in the world to connect, I mean, to commit to these things and like, post about them on social media and like, that just kind of makes me happy.
And that's great. That's great. And
Yeah.
that you, like you said, you're a free spirit and you're in a season of life where you can do that, so enjoy it. Enjoy
Yeah.
it too. Yeah.
Yeah, cause like, I think I told you this, like, last time we spoke. I was like, I would love to have somebody who would be like, "Hey, I got these comedy tickets," or like, "I got these tickets for a museum that I wanted you to check out." Like, someone to take me places that they thought that I would like.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, it's not happening. Like, so I'm like, I'm
Mm.
dating myself right now?
And that's a good person to date too. Yeah.
It's hard because you're like, "Oh, I just wish someone was doing this for me?"
Yes, of course. But I can tell you, even if you're in a relationship, it doesn't mean that somebody's doing it for you. Let me tell
Right.
you. Yeah, I'm sure you can talk to plenty of people who are like, I wish my partner was doing that for me.
Yeah, like, just, have tickets for, I don't know, the movies, a comedy show, a museum, I don't
Yeah.
know, some festival going on?
Yes.
So, I mean, I'm just, like I said, I'm actively dating myself,
Hmm.
and I mean, there is, it is, as challenging as that is, there are some parts where I'm like, wow, like, if you weren't willing to invest or commit to you, like, how in the world do you imagine someone else
Hmm.
wanting to invest or commit?
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
And I'm being very serious that the best person to date is actually yourself. No matter your relationship status, right? I mean, you can even be partnered and still be dating yourself. It's really important that you build that relationship with yourself, because that is the relationship that you will have for the rest of your life, is the relationship with yourself. That is the one person that you will be with for the rest of your life. And when you develop, and that was a big part of my journey, was developing that relationship with myself, was learning to love myself again, like to really love myself, not what I was producing or doing, but actually loving who I am, knowing who I am, doing the things that, you know it was like when you're talking about dating yourself, it was almost like I was dating myself. I was taking the swim lessons, I was taking flying trapeze lessons, I was, traveling, and I was going places, and I was trying new things. And it was because I was trying to get to know myself again. It was almost as though I was courting myself because I didn't know who I was. And that was really powerful.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, courting yourself. Like, I haven't gotten there yet. I'm starting backwards.
Well, what do you need, And you get to
Mm.
ask yourself that. What do you need? If you are courting yourself, if you're thinking about, oh, it'd be so nice if somebody did this for me, and you start seeing, I mean, it's kind of a funky exercise, right? Because if you, let's say, want to go to the comedy show and you're getting the tickets for yourself, then you're wishing somebody else would do it for you so you can feel spoiled and pampered, right? And you can feel taken care of. And so when we're talking here about, like, let's say you're courting yourself and you're still having to buy the tickets, then it might feel like, well, I'm doing that anyways. But it's a shift in the energy, right? A lot of things are actually related to energy and we don't realize it. But what would it be like to say, I'm doing this to spoil myself, to pamper myself? What if the energy around it changed to, you know what? I'm going to get these tickets for myself because I am worthy of it. And I'm going to, like, get these tickets, and then I'm going to go get dressed up and I'm going to look amazing. And if you want to invite a friend, you can too. You don't have to go by yourself, but you can start creating this energy where you're doing it for yourself. Like, you're really, like, loving yourself so much and not just like doing a thing. Does that make sense? Like, when you start getting intentional about what it is that you're doing versus I'm just doing it for myself. I'm always doing it for myself. I can't wait for the other person to come and do it. There's nothing wrong. Again, the dreaming piece is really important. Like, you want to be able to dream really big, but it should no way stop you if you don't have that right now. You still get to be spoiled and pampered right now. You still get to be taken care of. You still get to be courted. Like, so create that relationship with yourself so that you really fall so in love with yourself that others fall in love with you too. This is, yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, that I mean, it's definitely like you said, it's gonna take some time,
Hmm.
and like you said, it can still go up or down from here. Like I'm glad that you were so pragmatic and realistic and like not just sugarcoating. Like no, it's just one way and it's up.
Hmm.
Because I mean, I'm in this season right now where I'm like, I'm not in a dark place, but it's kind of gray. You know, I'm just like in this gray area where I'm like, okay, there are some feelings and some emotions that we need to address, like whether it's the negativity or the loneliness or the feelings of less than, for
Mhm,
whatever reason,
mhm,
I
mhm,
mean, I have to talk it out and address it
mhm.
and figure out, how they got here. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
what led me here? Like my way of thinking, my thoughts, my actions, my habits, all of this, like I still believe like, I can change, and I
Mhm,
can move the right positive direction,
mhm.
I feel like I still have hope. I have,
Yes.
I'm definitely I would still say I'm an optimistic person,
Mhm, mhm,
I would still like I have goals, I have dreams,
mhm.
and I wanna chase them, I wanna pursue them, and I wanna, head in that direction,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a place, like, then take action on that, right? Which,
Mhm.
you're doing, and like what you've, even this platform that you've created and other things you're doing in your life. I mean, everybody has the opportunity to move forward. Everybody has the hope. I mean, this is what I believe for everyone. The hope starts to dwindle when you take the gray that you're in and you don't allow any light to come in. You don't look for any light and you start saying, well, I'm fine. I should be grateful. Like this, when I start hearing women say stuff like this, then I'm like, oh my gosh, no, stop. Like, that language is actually scary, because you can be grateful and still desire, right? They can both coexist. Gratitude and desire can exist on the same plane. And so when you start to actually understand that, and instead of just being like, well, I'm fine, I should be okay, those are markers to me, those are clues to me of like, oh my gosh, no, because if you stay stagnant, you will go backwards, and that's just what will happen. Versus like, okay, actually, I'm not fine. I'm struggling with loneliness and sadness and wondering, like, I've got these feelings coming up, but I also like have these big dreams and I want to go for them. Like, and when you start to get so honest about, do you see how those can live together? You can still have really heavy feelings and have really huge dreams. Those can coexist too. When you allow that to be true, that's when color can start coming back into your life. And this is where I'm saying, when you're at that place where you're like, okay, I'm ready. I am ready for more in my life. And I am at this place where I'm kind of like looking at everything. This is a great time to get that support I talked about, like get that coach, or, get that person who's going to really be that person who can guide you as you go through your path, because that's what becomes life changing. My clients don't, their lives don't change because, like, they're just special anomalies. Their lives change because they're at the same precipice point, and then they say, yes, I'm willing to invest time and money and effort and belief and hope into something, and then we move forward, right?
Mhm.
Like, there gets to be that, rather than having to go at it alone, because our mind can hold us back the most of all things in our life. Our mind is the thing that can hold us back the most. And so when you have another person there, or you have that support system that will help you to keep going and to put the foot in front of the other and have you moving, that's when you'll really see things expand.
Wow, yeah, I feel like I have, just a lot of work, a lot of homework,
Hmm.
and I just feel like there's a part of me that's hesitant, to get the work done, you know?
Hmm.
But like I said, the positivity, I feel like the hope is, kind of outweighing the
Yeah. And what do you have to lose? This is what I say to people too. What do you have to lose by trying? I think it's better, what's that saying? It's better to have tried and failed than to never have tried at all. I think that's a beautiful quote. And when you start really living by that, it's like, just give it a chance,
Mhm.
Like if you're going to just do the same thing over and over again, well, that's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the
Right.
same thing over and over and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. So when you decide, okay, things do get to change and I'm just going to give it a chance, and I'm a little apprehensive, or I'm not really sure, or, why can't I do this on my own? Is there something wrong with me? These feelings are going to come up, right? Or like, can I do this? Maybe I don't have the resources. How am I going to make it work? A lot of things that can come up that can feel like, oh, I shouldn't do this. But if you give yourself the chance to try, and I'll give you a question I ask myself when I come up against these same things, because
Okay.
I still do. A great question to ask yourself, I call it the deathbed question, is if I was on my deathbed, would I regret making this decision, or would I be happy that I made this decision?
Mm.
And that really puts things in context, right? So if you have something in front of you and you're like, okay, I don't know if I can do it. I'm not sure. Like the big thing for me is like it costs a lot of money, or, like I don't know, is it the right timing? Is it gonna have like, am I gonna get the results? Like these are the questions I ask, right? Like, is it going to work for me? But then I put in this context of the deathbed question, and I just really like center into my heart, and I'm like, okay, if I was on my deathbed, would I be happy that I did this? Or would I regret that I did this? Or would I be fine that I didn't do it? Right. And whenever it's the clear, like, oh, I would be happy that I did this, then I just say yes without knowing all the answers yet. And then things work themselves out. And that's the thing that has been a big catalyst for me to have big growth in my life, is that I'm willing to do the thing without having it figured out. I'm willing to do the thing without having all of the answers, without knowing exactly what will happen, but trusting that intuitive place within me, like that soul nudge that is saying yes. When I trust that, and I've done some crazy things, okay? Some really crazy things, it has really worked out in the most magnificent way. And so that's my question, is that deathbed question.
Oh, wow, that's really profound. That is very scary. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I'm just like I said, right now or this week or this month has just been very I don't know if it's like the holiday season and people um just kind of sharing their wins and their, you know, n- not so great moments and kind of just reflecting and I mean, I feel like, I had a good year. I feel
Hmm.
content, I'm not, where I want where I wanted to be like 100%, but I'm still grateful to, to be alive, to be active, to be even having this conversation. Like I feel like, I just have to keep pushing forward
Yeah,
and, seeking opportunities that will help, you know, better my future and my present, you know?
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I feel like because I remember I told you, like, I'll be 34 on January 28th.
Happy early birthday.
Yeah, thank you. And so I was telling you how I had read one of your articles that, you had a fear when you turned 34, like this was it. This is the end, you know? And so I'm just like, ooh, whenever, your birthday's coming or this season is here, you're kind of like thinking of like, okay, where were we last time, I mean
Mhm.
last year this time, have we made any progress, have we what have we done,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of these questions where I'm like, yes, I am grateful, but I know there is definitely a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah. And this would be a good time for you to be thinking too, and for anybody listening. Look, that's again, you're being really honest. You're like, yeah, I am grateful. And is this where I want to be? Could I be further? Could I have goals that I could meet? It is always great to hold yourself to a higher level of excellence in your life, right? And create the pathway for you to meet those things that you want, and to have the accountability to like make sure it happens, and to again get to that place. Because one thing that you can think about is, where would I want to be a year from now? And actually, an easier exercise is, where do I want to be 3 years from now? There's this saying that we overestimate what we can do in 1 year, but we underestimate what we can do in 10 years. So they found that 3 years is like a good time frame to think about, like, what do I want 3 years from now? Right? Because it gives you enough time to reach some of those really juicy goals and desires that you have, without like being too, like, people will be like, I want to do this and this and this and this and this in 1 year. But there is still a level of pragmatism to things, right? There is still a little bit. It's not to say don't dream big. A lot can happen in a year, but 3 years really gives that time for it to be not overly ambitious, that you're like, man, another year went by and I didn't XYZ. But it's not too long that then it just feels like a very far away dream. It gives you a really good tactical timeline to work towards. So especially as your birthday is coming up, which is also around the new year, which is so cool. Be thinking about that. Where do I see myself in 3 years? Like, what would I like to see in my life? And start dreaming about that, and start working towards that, rather than just kind of letting life happen to you. One thing I will say is, don't let life just be happening to you. You have agency in your life to do things. We don't control everything, but we do have agency in the decisions that we make, and the direction that we go in, and where is it that you want to go.
Oh, wow. Yes. Oh my God, I love that word, agency.
Hmm.
Yes, there are definitely, there's definitely a lot of work to do, and I'm being, I guess, a bit more vocal and a bit more loud and not as shy, about my dreams.
Hmm.
Like, I know we're, reaching our 1 hour mark, but would you say to like keep your goals to yourself or your dreams to yourself? No, no, okay.
No, I think it's really important to allow it to be like shared. Now, when I say shared, again, I'm thinking in a safe space, meaning like, definitely share with me, because I'm going to hold your dreams really big. Okay. Like, that's one thing. Like, I mean, my clients can dream really big with me because I can hold the energy and the space for like all of the things, right? It's a really safe, non-judgmental space. So find those people in your life. Okay, who are going to be the people that, like, when you share it with them, they're going to be like, that's amazing. And they don't even have to be the people that is amazing. Sometimes when we're holding our dreams to ourselves, well, nobody knows. If nobody knows, nobody can, like, things can't move forward. But when we start having a dream and we start sharing it out loud, maybe some people will be like, are you kidding me? They might have comments, but even still, what's going to happen when you start sharing your dream out loud, it's going to activate your reticular activating system. Okay, this is why vision boards, this is why starting to write down your dreams is very powerful, because the reticular activating system is when your subconscious and your conscious connect. And the best example of this is when you buy a new car and you suddenly see that make and model on the road, right? So let's say you buy, I used to have this Honda Accord. So when I bought my Honda Accord, I suddenly started seeing Honda Accords everywhere, right? And it wasn't that they didn't exist. I mean, Honda Accord's like the most common car in like the whole wide world. It's that like now I had it, and so I was noticing it, right? this is what your reticular activating system is doing. So you can do the same things for your dreams, your desires, your vision, your goals. Is that the more that you start to put it down on paper, speak it into existence, you will start to notice opportunities related to that coming to you. Part of sharing with people is that now that person knows too, and they might bring you an opportunity. You never know. When you start trusting that things are like that, like I'll just use the universe because I think we're in a, I don't know who the audience is per
Mhm.
se, but when you start trusting that the universe is conspiring to do good things for you, and if you're a person of faith, that the divine wants the best for you, then what will happen is you start interacting with the world in a more open and trusting way. And you'll start seeing people being like, oh my gosh, Shakira, like, remember you told me you want to do that thing? I saw something or I heard something. And then you're like, oh my gosh. And then the next thing happens and the next thing, and like these doors start opening. But if you keep your dreams to yourself, right, even wanting to be partnered, if you don't actually share that out loud with people, then people won't know. They might be like, oh, she's like good with her life. She's fine. She's
Mhm.
so happy. Like, but when you start sharing things and you let people know, it gives a chance for that dream to come to life. And it's all of this is about trusting and being open.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes, I definitely. I said this in my last upload. I was like, before 2025 ends, I want to have 1,000 subscribers.
Okay. So hit that
And
subscribe button below. Hit that like and subscribe button.
yeah, yes, and I definitely have some, weight goals too. I wanna definitely work on my self discipline and self control when it comes to my diet. I feel like that's been a goal for the past 3 years, but I feel like you said, there are some blocks that
Hmm.
may be preventing me from, reaching that dream body, you know?
Hmm.
And I definitely want to just, ask for that support, in that area in my life to
Yes.
help tackle these goals, because like it's a real thing, like
Hmm.
there's a lot of support groups out there for people who are struggling with their weight and have health concerns and want to just live a better, more active, you know, health conscious life.
Yes.
So it is definitely in there, and everybody, the new year will start, hitting the gym, but I told myself, you know what, I'm not going to wait until January 1st. I'm going to start, today, start
Great.
start right now, so I definitely have that too. But I feel like I'm so glad you said something about the vision board. That has been like, that is something that I want to do before the year ends, or even when the year starts.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I want to create a vision board for myself,
Yeah.
and I
Please
want to
do
be,
it. Yeah. And you can do it digital or you can do a physical. Both are great.
yeah, because like I know there's like this art play, like it's like an arts and crafts place where you can just go in there and use their magazines, use all their items, and you can just, have at it, and I just want to, that'll be my third date maybe with myself.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it. Yeah. Go on these dates. That's a great place. If a place like that exists, oh my gosh, it's waiting for you to just come in and make it. You don't even have to worry about where am I going to get stuff? I've got to collect everything. It's like you can just walk right in. What a nice date.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna do it because I know we have a lot of places like that in Austin, but I've actually been to one and I wanted to do like a group thing with like my girlfriends, but I was like, nope, we're gonna do it alone and we're gonna
Yeah.
have fun and we're gonna figure it out.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I will let you go because we spend, a little over an hour trying to figure out the audio and the video. But I will be hitting you up soon, because I know we are definitely planning on working together in the
I
year of
look forward to it.
2025. And I have your email, and I look forward to all your, your emails and your newsletter. And I will put your website, the dream list, all in the description box below
Perfect.
so people
Perfect.
can reach out to you. And are there anything, I know that there's something coming up in DC, right? Or the East Coast that you're doing the
There
Thrive thing?
is. There is. So I'll be in DC on December 29th, which is just a few days from now. So maybe somebody's going to be listening to this like a year from now, so it won't be relevant. But I am doing something called Rise and Thrive, which is talking about visioning for the new year. So whenever you end up getting connected to me, and I would say definitely grab that dreams list, thelifeengineer.com/dreams. Grab that list so that you come into my world, you get that dreams list that you can start filling out now. And I do have live events, at least I do two master classes a year that are free, and then I have live events usually in Texas or DC. I'm kind of going between the two places. And then I do virtual events as well. So along with my one-on-one coaching, which is definitely much more specific, and there's a process for that. I do try to offer other things that make it open. And I have a podcast too, Shakira. I don't know if you know about it.
I don't. I feel like, is it on Spotify and
It
Apple everything?
is.
Okay, I
It's
will definitely be following.
Yeah, it's called Feminine and Fulfilled. So if you just want to get more of these nuggets, and I also interview women on there too, it's a great place to just, binge listen. So if you go to my website, you'll see the links for everything. But I really invite you to come into my world because whenever you're listening to this, if you have really enjoyed this conversation and it's speaking to you and your heart is like, oh my gosh, I want more, then just come into my world and we'll go from there.
Yay. And then I'm so coming to your retreat next year.
Oh my God, you have to come to my retreat. It's amazing. I do it in the fall every year, and
Oh my God.
it's
Whenever
amazing.
you put all that information, I'm gonna RSVP and, definitely I have every, intention of being there and meeting you in person and participating in this.
Yes, because it's actually at my home. I do this retreat at my home with a personal chef, and it's a great way to really embody the power, the wealth, the bigness of who you are, to embody it in a way that like you're just going to leave transformed. It's so amazing and it's so fun, and you want to be spoiled, you come there. Like that is
Yes.
you're going to get spoiled.
Yeah, I definitely look forward to it. And I know that, and I love your Instagram lives that you do every now and then randomly. And of course, your, virtual events that you do as well. And you always save the recording too. So for those of us who can't
Too.
attend live, there's always a recording.
Yeah. And there's
Mm.
actually bundled all my master classes. My assistant that did this. So we bundled my master classes from the last few years. And, she's like, she just bundled it and it's selling at like a lower ticket price. So that's also on my website. You'll see it. It's under courses. So if you want to just binge watch those, she got them all up.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But I do thank you for your time and your
Thank
words
you.
of wisdom. And I look forward to speaking with you soon. And I wish you happy holidays and, happy travels.
Thank you. Happy holidays. And thank you so much for having me. It's always a gift to me to come on and to share, because I always think that there is one woman on the other side who is going to hear this and she is going to be impacted. And that is why I do this work. So I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And um, I will let you go. And like I said, it'll probably take maybe like 30 to 40 minutes for it to all go live and publish. And I'll send you the link through email.
Awesome.
Alrighty. Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.